Welcome back to Narrations. Today's story isn't about heroes, or villains, or saving the world. It's about being different. Napoleon Dynamite, 2004, is a quirky, offbeat comedy about an awkward teenager trying to navigate school, friendship, and life in his own unusual way. Napoleon Dynamite lives in a quiet town where nothing ever really seems to happen. His life isn't dramatic. It's strange. He wears the same clothes every day, talks in a flat, emotionless tone, draws mythical creatures in his notebook, and somehow, he exists completely outside of everything around him. At school, he doesn't fit in. Not with the popular kids. Not with the quiet ones. Not even with the weird ones. He's just Napoleon. And that makes him an easy target. People don't bully him aggressively. They just ignore him, laugh quietly, dismiss him. But Napoleon doesn't change. Because he doesn't know how to be anyone else. At home, things aren't much different. He lives with his older brother Kip. Kip spends most of his time online, chatting with people he's never met, convinced he's building meaningful relationships. He talks big, acts confident. But in reality, he's just as disconnected as Napoleon. Their grandmother is the only adult in the house. But she's rarely present. Busy. Independent. Leaving Napoleon and Kip to figure things out on their own. And somehow, they do. In their own strange way. Then one day, something changes. Napoleon meets Pedro. A new student. Quiet. Calm. Different. But not in the same way as Napoleon. Pedro doesn't try to fit in. But he also doesn't seem affected by not fitting in. And that makes him stand out. Napoleon sits next to him. At first, there's silence. Awkward. But slowly, something forms. Not a typical friendship. But something real. Because Pedro doesn't judge Napoleon. And Napoleon doesn't question Pedro. They just exist. And that's enough. Meanwhile, life continues in its strange rhythm. Napoleon deals with school assignments that feel pointless. Like being forced to take care of an egg as if it were a baby. Or practicing skills that don't seem to matter. But in his world, everything matters in its own way. Even if no one else sees it. At home, Kip announces something unexpected. He's been talking to someone online. A girl. And he's serious about it. Serious enough to believe it's real. Napoleon doesn't react much. Because in this house, strange things are normal. Then, another shift. Pedro decides to run for class president. Not dramatically. Not with excitement. Just casually. As if it's something simple. Napoleon supports him immediately. Not because he believes it will work. But because Pedro asked? And that's enough. The campaign begins. But it's not like the others. No big speeches. No flashy promises. Just small moments. Posters. Quiet conversations. And Napoleon, trying to help in his own way. But it's not easy. Because they're up against summer. Confident. Popular. Everything Napoleon and Pedro are not. The kind of person people naturally follow. The kind of person who expects to win. And as the campaign continues, it becomes clear. This isn't just about winning. It's about being seen. Because for Napoleon, this is the first time he's part of something. Not just existing, but contributing, helping, trying. And even though nothing about it is smooth, it matters. Because for the first time, he's not completely alone. But the question remains, can someone like Napoleon actually make a difference? Or will everything stay exactly the same? The campaign continues. But nothing about it feels like a real campaign. There are no loud speeches echoing through hallways. No dramatic promises. No energy that pulls people in. Just small, quiet attempts. Pedro walks up to people calmly. No pressure. No excitement. Just a simple sentence. Vote for me. And somehow, that simplicity lingers. Napoleon watches. He doesn't fully understand why Pedro isn't trying harder. But he supports him anyway. Because for the first time in his life, he's part of something. Not watching from the outside, but standing beside someone. Trying. Helping. Even if he doesn't know how. He makes posters. Awkward drawings. Strange slogans. Hands them out with no confidence. People take them. Some laugh. Some ignore. But Napoleon doesn't stop. Because this isn't about being good at it. It's about showing up. Meanwhile, Summer's campaign runs exactly as expected. Confident. Structured. Predictable. She smiles. Speaks clearly. Knows exactly what people want to hear. And everyone assumes she'll win. Because that's how things usually go. The popular person wins. The one who fits in wins. The one who looks right, sounds right, acts right. Wins. But something small begins to shift. Not in a big way. Not noticeable at first. But slowly. People begin to see Pedro. Not as competition. But as someone different. Someone honest. And that honesty feels new. At the same time, life around Napoleon continues in its strange rhythm. Kip's story moves forward. He finally meets La Fondue. The person he's been talking to online. And surprisingly, she's real. Not just real. Confident. Loud. Full of energy. Completely different from him. And yet, she accepts him instantly. No hesitation. No judgment. And for the first time, Kip begins to change. Not into someone else, but into a version of himself that isn't afraid. He speaks more. Moves differently. Carries himself with a kind of confidence that wasn't there before. Napoleon watches it happen. Quietly. Because even though he doesn't say it, he sees it. Change is possible. Even for people like them. Meanwhile, Uncle Rico continues chasing something he can't have. The past. He throws footballs. Talks about missed opportunities. Convinced that if things had gone differently, everything would be better. But slowly, even he begins to feel it. That the past isn't coming back. And holding on to it doesn't change anything. Everything builds toward one moment. Election day. The school gathers. Students sit waiting. Expecting the usual result. Because nothing ever really changes. But before the votes are announced, there's one last moment. A performance. Napoleon is called up. Unexpected. He walks toward the stage. Slowly. Awkwardly. The room doesn't react much. Some people don't even look. Because they don't expect anything. And then, the music starts. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Napoleon stands there. Still. Like he might not do anything at all. And then, he moves. The dance begins. Not polished. Not perfect. But completely his. Every move is strange. Unpredictable. But intentional. He doesn't stop to think. Doesn't hold back. Doesn't care how it looks. Because for the first time, he isn't trying to fit in. He's just being himself. The room changes. At first, people laugh. Quietly. Then they stop. Because something about it feels different. Not because it's impressive, but because it's real. There's no pretending. No performance for approval. Just expression. And slowly, the room starts watching. Actually watching. For the first time. Napoleon isn't invisible. He's seen. Fully. The dance builds. Moves get bigger. Faster. More confident. And when it ends, there's a moment of silence. Then applause. Real. Not forced. Not polite. Genuine. Napoleon walks off the stage. Not smiling. Not celebrating. Just done. But something has changed. Not around him. Inside him. The votes are counted. Everyone waits. And then, the result is announced. Pedro wins. Not by being the most popular. Not by being the most prepared. But by being honest. And for the first time, something unexpected happens. The system shifts. Not completely. But enough. Napoleon walks outside. Back into his quiet world. But it doesn't feel the same anymore. Because even though nothing looks different, everything feels different. Kip continues his new life. Uncle Rico begins to let go of the past. And Napoleon? He's still the same. Still awkward. Still quiet. Still different. But now, that difference doesn't isolate him. It defines him. Because he didn't change to fit in. He stayed exactly who he was. And somehow, that was enough. Napoleon Dynamite isn't about becoming someone else. It's about realizing that being yourself, even when it feels awkward, strange, or different, is exactly what makes you matter. If you enjoyed listening to this narration, please like, share, and subscribe for more movie stories. I'll see you in the next one.